Breaking Down the Law is sponsored by Battleborn Injury Lawyers.
Nevada lawmakers in Carson City will consider a bill that would prohibit federal immigration and customs enforcement officers from going into public schools without a warrant. Comes after the Trump administration reversed prior immigration enforcement policies that prohibited enforcement in such sensitive areas as schools, hospitals, courthouses. The bill also proposes that public school enforcement officers shouldn't be able to use non-lethal weapons like stun guns and pepper spray against students on school grounds or at school functions. The legislation would apply to school districts and counties with a population of 700,000 or more. So, what are the legalities involved in this? Let's break down the law with Matthew Hoffmann from Battleborn Injury Lawyers. Thank you for joining us. So I was led to believe that all law enforcement needed a warrant before they went onto school grounds. Isn't that right?
I mean, for the most part, yes. So classrooms, common areas, things like that within the school itself is considered private property. So any law enforcement, you can't enter without a warrant or reasonable suspicion that there's criminal behavior going on right now, or what's called exigent circumstances. Exigent circumstances, to give like the classic example, is you're chasing a criminal and they try to take refuge in a private residence or in a school for this, in this example.
Okay, so if you had a student who was fleeing police officers and went into a school trying to evade them, Metro officers could follow them into that school without a warrant.
Absolutely.
But under this law being proposed in Carson City, ICE agents would not be able to go in to get that fleeing student.
Exactly, and that's a problem. It creates a conflict of law. And the conflict being you have federal law that says that under 18 U.S. Code 111, you cannot impede or interfere basically with federal law enforcement. I don't care if it's the IRS, FBI, TSA, or ICE. If they're performing their duties, you cannot interfere with them. So if you take this bill to its logical conclusion and there's an exigent circumstance situation, they're chasing somebody who takes refuge in the school, you're now asking school officials to violate federal law and to say, hey, you can't enter. Every other law enforcement could enter, but not you because you're ICE. That would be a violation of 18 U.S. Code 111. I don't see why you would put school administrators in that position.
And you're saying that if one of these school administrators did stop an ICE agent under these exigent circumstances, they could actually face charges themselves,
right.
Federal criminal charges.
That is correct. That is
for impeding a law enforcement officer.
Yes, exactly. So the reality of trying to do this, I know why they're doing it. There's been attendance problems ever since President Trump, announced his more,
right.
Strict enforcement of immigration law. They've seen less students attending out of fear. I think this is a way they're trying to signal to parents this is a safe place. But all it does is target ICE, law enforcement officers, but it doesn't change anything for everyone else. I think it's a problem. I don't see it passing, and even if it did, I don't see Governor Lombardo signing.
Okay, 30 seconds left. Let's talk about the other piece of this. Also under consideration in that legislation is school district police officers wouldn't be able to use pepper spray or stun guns against students. First of all, I didn't think that was a big problem. We don't hear about that a lot in the news. We don't report on that.
Heard anything.
But that also creates some problems for these police officers too, doesn't it?
Yeah, because the police officers in school, the Clark County School District Police Department, they're what you call a Schedule II law enforcement. They're below Metro or Henderson PD or NHP. If there's a big problem, they have to call the other officers to come. Their job is to protect the students within the school grounds. The biggest job that they have that's on everyone's mind at the beginning of the school year, after Christmas break, and at the end of the school year is school shooting. School shooters. So under this law, let's say that a student has a weapon. What? They can't use pepper spray? They can't use stun guns to stop them?
You mean non-lethal force instead of bringing out their AR-15
which they have,
or their shotgun
exactly.
to stop the shooter? They might be able to use non-lethal force, so you consider that problematic
I think it's problematic, and why do we want to put an extra step of thought process into these officers when they're dealing with an emergency situation? I'm not aware of a situation of them targeting students or overusing pepper spray or stun guns. And these are massive schools. You could have melees that break out where they have to do these.
There you go. And, instead of a school shooter, you may have a large fight on campus,
Yeah.
and a way to break up that fight may be with the use of pepper spray and or a stun gun as well.
The alternative is pull out hardcore weapons or
Yeah,
use
exactly.
batons and beat them.
Yeah.
So again, another one. I think there's a messaging here, but I don't see it going anywhere.
People might have questions for you. We have stuff going on every day around here. If you do have a question for Matthew Hoffmann, email us at breakingdownthelaw@news3lv.com. Matthew, we appreciate it. Every Wednesday you come in and we kind of break down some of these issues.
I'd love to be here.
Appreciate it.
You got it.